Network connections, fishing some Ethernet cable. By the time we're done here, you will be able to run cable through walls and plenum space to network devices. In an earlier nugget, we did a network assessment where we walked through the building and identified locations that needed network cabling, as well as identifying the MDF. The main distribution facility is where all of the cabling runs and terminates into one location. In this nugget, we're going to explore how we can run cable from the MDF to the various locations in our building that need it. Now, first off, take a look at what I've identified in the MDF. Right here, I've identified all of this cabling coming out of the wall as spool cable. So in order to add to that, you'll want to buy some boxes like this. These are spools of Cat5e and Cat6. And I do want to emphasize, I'm talking Ethernet as in copper cabling. We'll talk about fiber later on in the series. Most of the buildings of today are wired with Category 5e cable. And for most cases, that's just fine. That's because Category 5e cable can go up to 1,000 megabits per second, which will probably satisfy our bandwidth needs for a long time in coming. Most people call that speed 1 gigabit per second. Category 6 cable raises the bar and can then actually increase the speed to 10,000 megabits per second, or 10 gigabits per second. Now, when a lot of people see that, they go, oh, we've got to replace all of our cable to get the faster speed. And that's rarely done. Now, in a brand new building, you might as well use Category 6 because it's virtually the same price as Category 5e. So it's worth using the newer standard. Now, keep in mind that everything along the way has to be Category 6 to get the benefits of it. For example, you can see that all of this spool cable, which is what you see right here, comes out of the ceiling and connects to the patch panel. Now, that patch panel is rated at either Category 5e or Category 6. These patch cables, which connect that patch panel down into the switch, are also rated at Category 5e or 6. So if any one of those things in the chain is 5e, it is still compatible, but you do not gain the benefits of using Category 6 cable and being able to reliably transmit at the faster speed. Now, to put all this speed stuff into perspective, the average computer doing normal things will transmit somewhere between 1 to 10 megabits per second. And that's doing normal things like checking email, surfing the internet, accessing files on a server. Abnormal things would be doing things like video editing over the network, massive file copies. Those are the kind of things that use this kind of bandwidth. Now, you'll also see that I put plenum and riser next to these spools of cable. These are the different ratings. Plenum cable is designed to be installed in the plenum area of the building. Now, that's the area above the ceiling where you typically find air-conditioned ducting, electrical wiring, and things like that. Essentially, plenum cable has a better fire rating. And if you ever have a building inspection and you've installed riser cable, which is usually what you use in normal spaces like this to connect a patch panel into the switch, you'll probably fail your building inspection. Plenum cable is a little bit more expensive, and if you're doing this all in your home, most of the time you'll get away with just using riser cable. In offices, you'll want to use the good stuff. Lastly, you can see that Ethernet has a maximum cable distance of 100 meters. That means from this switch, which is what connects everything together, through the patch panel, through the ceiling, to the wall jack and the end device, has a maximum distance before you lose your signal of 100 meters. Now, you can push that limit sometimes, but it's not wise. You're going to end up with weird network issues that you have to troubleshoot later on that are really hard to diagnose. Now, that 100-meter maximum doesn't apply to end-to-end, meaning I could plug another computer into here and run that 100 meters this way, and that communication will work just fine. So let me take this last moment to scope in exactly what we're focused on. Patch panel, patch cables, switch, that'll all come later. Our goal right now is to take the cable from here at the MDF and run it to the various parts of the building that we need. The tools we'll need to do this are simple. Electrical tape, a drywall jab saw, which is probably one of the best named tools ever. You literally jab it straight into the wall and cut out the drywall so that you can run your cable through. And then the key puzzle piece, fishing tape, magnets, or rods. 3 things designed to accomplish the same thing that can be useful in different situations. If this is what you do full time, you'll probably have 3 of these things sitting in the back of your truck. If you do it on the side, I would suggest the rod as likely the most useful of the group because it can be used in most circumstances. However, it's a bit awkward to store, so you usually find a lot of people having one of these on them. All of these things are designed to run cable through walls. The magnet is probably the least common because it's the most expensive, but by far has the cool factor around it. This is where you can literally cut a hole into the bottom of the wall, run your cable, and then use a magnet on the outside of the wall to drag that cable up the wall into the plenum or the crawl space up top. I'm going to be using this to run our cabling. All right, get your spectacles ready because I shrunk our floor plan so we can create our plan of attack. We're going to be starting in the MDF and running cable to 3 points in the building. The first will be the wireless access point above the shirt company, simply because it's the closest. Then I'm going to run a cable to the wireless access point in the main lobby area, and at the same time, run a cable to install a wall jack behind that receptionist desk. That way we won't have the network cable crossing the floor to the desk. Now that wall had a glass window right here, so we may have to be creative in our approach. Here we go. All right, we're going to start off in the MDF, and once again, to hit our mission, we need to run a cable from here, the patch panel, up through the ceiling, all the way across to right about here by that exit sign. Now, can I make mention that I didn't plan to do this today? Usually you'll have a long sleeve shirt so you don't get insulation in your arms. You'll be actually dressed in something that's a little more garby than my CBT Nuggets apparel. But nonetheless, we're going to go for it. When you buy a spool of cable, the temptation is to open up this door right here and pull it all out. You don't want to do that. They coil it specifically so you can just pull it from the place where it's sticking out of the box and it will just simply unwind its way out. If you pull it out, it's just going to turn into a tangled mess. So we're going to take this. We're going to move through these cable management hooks right here, like so. That's good. Remove the ceiling tile, which sometimes takes a little elbow grease. You want to make sure you don't break these things because they do break easily. And actually, that one's got me a little nervous because it's pretty tight. So I'm going to just fish the cable up, pushing it through there. And I'll remove one of the other ceiling tiles to get to it. There we go. This will allow some nice access. All right. Well, guys, welcome to the plenum space. Now, through the magic of video editing, all of the magical stuff such as hitting my head, ladders falling down, and various other bad things happening are all edited out. Now, I can see right here, this is where all the cabling's coming up from the ceiling, and I can see here's my black cable that I pushed up, and this isn't too bad. Take a look. Somebody has actually bolted an anchor to the wall that all the cable is running through, a brace. So I'm going to fish my black cable through that and pull a nice little glob of cable up through the ceiling that I can use and have just hanging here so I can run it down the way. There we go. Got some nice cable. There we go. Now let me turn the camera so you can see what I'm looking at. This is where we are going. So you can see all of the air-conditioned ducting going through. Right about there is where that fire escape sign is going, where my light is landing. So why don't I go down there and remove that ceiling tile so I can have a clear shot on where we're headed. All right, here we go. We don't have to remove the whole thing and move it all the way out, just enough so we can see the light coming up from the floor. My CBT Nuggets shirt is no longer nice and black like it was when I brought it in. Maybe they could send me another one. All right, I've got the fishing rods engaged. Now, you can see this is actually a whole series. Looks like, those little fiber optic lights you see at Spencer's Gifts that change colors, right? This is a whole series of fiberglass poles you can screw together, allowing you to go whatever distance you need. Now, I'm initially putting on 3 of them, but I'll add more once I get into the ceiling. All right, I'm back up in the ceiling, and I can see down there the light. I'm not sure if the camera can see it, of the ceiling tile that I moved. So now I'm going to take that fishing rod, my electrical tape, and the cable, and tape them all together. It's usually best if you try and make it a nice point right at the front. Otherwise, you'll suck in all the insulation as you go. And go down a good 3 or 4 inches on that so it doesn't pull apart as you push it through. Snap off the electrical tape and start fishing it down. Now, I see up in this space they have some great J-hooks that I should be running this cable through to make it all nice and managed, but I'm on a mission. In this case, I'm going to have it sit right on top of these ceiling tiles. That's usually not the best thing to do, but actually I have no excuse. It's just not the best thing to do. Down and down and down we go. Now I'm screwing on more rods as I need it, and the beauty of this fishing rod is it's flexible. It can bend like nobody's business, so you can even take it down walls once you actually get there. Now again, we're just going through for the easy run right now, which is going across ceiling tiles. I'm not going to make it. My fishing rod's getting hung up on something down the way. Although I might have made it long enough to actually reach over through the ceiling tile and get to it. Yeah, that angle's not going to work. Must get... Ha 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 ha! Hello, my cable friend. Normally, business owners don't like ceiling tiles moved, fiberglass hanging down, and cable hanging out of the ceiling like this. So I'm going to pull that fishing rod out. Ugh. Grab my pair of dikes that was conveniently placed here, and literally stab a hole into the ceiling tile. Grab the cable. Oh, I feel that insulation creeping into my hands as I speak. Push it through the hole and move that ceiling tile back. It is a game sometimes to get all four corners down at the same time, so you might just have to tap it. There we go. One side is done. Now, a best practice is to typically coil this stuff into the ceiling so you have a little extra cable if down the road you go, oh man, I want to run the wireless access point down that way a little bit so you don't have to rerun all the cable. I'm back in the MDF again, and I'm going to use those same dikes to snip off that Cat 6 cable here, and our first cable run is done. So we can put a big check. That guy is done. This one is going to be the same thing, just a little bit further of a run. This one, on the other hand, is where the unique situation comes in. Well, here we are back at the receptionist desk. Now, the computer and the phone is sitting right here. I think it would be easy to go down that wall because we've got a nice big gap of drywall. This one is a risk. I think we can do it, and this would be the ideal because then we could just run the cable right here to the IP phone. But there's a good chance there's some bracing, or I saw a light switch on the other side of this wall, so there might be an electrical box or something that keeps me from getting down here. There's only one way to find out, and that is to take the rods and actually see if you can get that rod all the way down here. Then, if you can feel it hitting the floor, we can move this desk back and install the wall outlet right there. All right, I got my ladder, I got my fishing rods. We'll get these set up. You want to put enough rods together that you can go from ceiling to floor. 3 should do it. Get up there and move this ceiling tile. And now we'll take this fishing rod and see if we can go down that wall. Now there's already a nice convenient hole cut right here with electrical wiring going in there, which kind of freaks me out. But let's see how far down we can go. All right, I'm definitely hitting something right here. Let's see if I can get past it. So I've got about half my... Oh, there is a way. There is a way. Yep, my rod has hit the floor. So that tells me there's a gap. It should be possible to get past whatever obstruction is right there. It's probably just the electrical box for the light switch on the other side and get all the way to the floor where we can install the network cable. All right, through an act of heroic strength, I have pushed this desk back. I'm now going to install this thing. Now, I didn't put this on the list of supplies because technically it has nothing to do with fishing cable. It'll come in the next nugget when we actually install the wall plate and make it look all pretty. This will tell us how big of a hole to cut. So I'm going to flip this around, put it about where I want the jack. Oh, right about there looks good. I'm going to take my Bic pen and just draw on the wall. Drywall saw. Jab it in there, praying that you don't hit any electrical cables that are hanging down, and begin sawing away. Yeah! It's not perfect, but it's a good starting point to see if I can get to that pole. It's always good to keep this chunk of drywall in case you realize you messed up later, because this will make a great patch to fill that hole back in. Now I'm reaching in there, and there's my fiberglass pole right there. And there's a couple ways people go. Sometimes people will take the cable, attach it to this, pull it back up the wall, and now you've got it on the ceiling to run the other way. Or people will come from the MDF down here and push the cable back down the wall. That's what we're going to do in this case, and I'll show you why. Now you'll notice I'm back in the MDF, but now I have not just one box of cable, I've got 2. Because I needed to run 2 lines the whole distance of this building, so I figure, why do that twice when I can take both of these guys, attach them to the fishing rod, and run it one time. Now, you can actually do this with 5, 6, 7 cables at a time if you're doing these bulk runs. That's where they come up with handy tools like this, where you can actually wrap a number around the end of the cables. That's all this thing is a list of little number wrappers that you can put at the end of your cable. Then you can number the boxes. You can actually grab your pen and say, well, this is box number 2 and write on there. This is box number 3. So when you actually get to the other side, you can look and go, oh, okay, well, I can make a quick correlation without having to retrace and tone out and figure out what cable goes where. right, now what we've got here is the cable with both ends coming out. And I still have my rod sitting right here in the ceiling. So I'm going to take off the electrical tape. And we're going to have these cables go two ways. One of them is going to attach to this. I'm going to duct tape it to this one and pull it down. The other one is going to go over here for the wireless access point. All right, I've retaped the cable onto this guy. Now I just need to pull this guy out. Easier said than done. There we go. And pull it through. There we go. And after much deliberation, I'm thinking right there is a good spot for the wireless access point. And there we have it. Now, I promised you at the beginning of this nugget that you will be able to run cable through walls and plenum space to network devices. Now's your chance to prove it. And I can't emphasize how important it is to do the practical component of fishing Ethernet cable. The hands-on experience that you'll get doing that is immensely valuable. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.